I want to thank, again, Patrick, and move to our next topic, which is probably something that many of you are familiar with and know FINOS for. Not only the CDM, who's going actually beyond regulatory reporting. It's been very successful, as we heard. By the way, there is a training that you can take. Over 500 people took it to date. It was built last year. Actually, probably over 1,000 people took it over the last year. But remember that the vision for the CDM is beyond that. It's to really model financial products across the life cycle of the trades, and really go beyond just digital regulatory reporting. So if you're interested to see the new frontier, the new horizons of the CDM, we're seeing a lot of potential. We have a collateral management working group. I mean, really, the CDM is really trying to solve one of the hardest problems, or one of the most complex financial products out there. We have new working groups, aligned with OS Climate, modeling climate risk or physical risk into the CDM, as well as tokenized assets. If you guys are into digital assets, that's an amazing evolution. Finally, we'll talk a little bit more about AI later in the keynote. But the CDM is also exploring AI applications of the CDM with our applied Gen AI group. And so these are a few of the working groups that we very much encourage you to join. Now, I promised not to make a joke about this being FDC3Con, but I guess I'll do it. Many of you are probably familiar with FDC3, our interoperability standard, which keeps getting traction. And so I want to bring our senior technical architect, Rob Moffat, to give us an update. Welcome, Rob.
Hi, everyone. Yes, so as Madeline discussed earlier, one of the new members of FINOS is here, which I'm really pleased to hear. Because in 2017, they donated the FDC3 standard to FINOS, which became the way for apps to integrate on the trader desktop. And that helped users work smarter and faster with fewer errors. And it's seen huge success at loads of FINOS member firms who benefit from it being an open standard, and it breaks down silos and gets different parts of their organizations to work together. But times have changed, and FDC3 has to change and evolve too. So it's not just trader desktops and single firms anymore, but we want to use FDC3 everywhere. And it's not just firm-wide, it's industry-wide. So with that in mind, we've been working on FDC3 on the web for several years, and I'm happy to say that this is finally available for everyone to use. It was released earlier in the year. And in the past, various firms have provided FDC3 in the browser, but it's always worked in a kind of non-standard way. And so now, for the first time, app developers can build FDC3 apps on the web without proprietary APIs. So there's one FDC3 client library apps can use, and it will work across desktop agent vendors. And Sail is the first example of this. It's available to try out in the FINOS sandbox at this URL. And so a lot of my job is explaining FDC3 to people and building training courses and doing tutorials and all this kind of stuff. But now you can just go and use it and try it out in the browser and understand what it's all about. And Juliana from Interop.io has a talk today showing how the same exact technology is working in Interop.io's web product, IO Connect. And by the time we get to New York, the OSFF in New York, we should have the first FDC3 2.2 compliant platforms to announce. So really looking forward to that happening soon. So that kind of solves the idea of that multi-device problem. But what about the cross-industry part? So in order to work across industry, you can't assume that one app will automatically trust another. Apps from different organizations can't just trust each other. In fact, that's the whole zero trust architecture model. You can't trust anyone. You have to make them prove who they are. And so in 2023, At the BMO hackathon, Yannick demonstrated a way to allow apps to pass around the user's identity in an FTC3 native way. And apps can therefore trust the users via FTC3 rather than forcing users to log into each app one by one or integrating some non-portable OAuth or SSO solution which ties the apps together. New integration problems. And in 2024, Usha and Kieran demonstrated apps sending each other's messages on FTC3, but signed and encrypted. And this allowed apps for the first time to establish trust with one another. And it was the first app-to-app FTC3 zero trust, cryptographically secure workflow. But it wasn't part of the standard. And so the FTC3 Identity and Security working groups started looking at exactly that. And today, we have some early results of that collaboration. And here's some quotes of people talking about this. So Paul says, we're looking forward to seeing security and identity primitives added to the FTC3 standard to allow deeper, more coordinated cross-industry workflows. And Bhupesh, who you'll hear from later, is looking forward to reducing the barriers around communicating with third-party applications. Meanwhile, Dietmar envisions a network of certified identities, whether those identities are users, teams, bots, or apps. This is the layer of trust on which all of our users' communication and collaboration workflows are built. Matthew Harvey says it should remove a large hurdle faced by our app developers in getting their software into the hands of clients faster and more securely. So everyone's getting quite excited about the idea of secure FTC3. And we have talks today. So 11:40, Yannick and Matt, who I just mentioned, are doing a talk. And FINOS means nothing if it's not QR codes. So join the working group to talk about this. There's a white paper you can download. Comment on the white paper. Tell us what we're doing wrong. We'd love to hear about that. And we have other talks today as well. We have Chris and Derek from NatWest and S&P talking more about FTC3 on the web. Aaron and Yatin from LSEG talking about their use of FTC3. And Chris from Elgin White talking about those all-important AI use cases. So, back to Gab. I know you're keen to keep a tight ship here, so there you go.